You know one thing my wife hates the most? It's my random hypothetical questions. She always complains and says, "Why do you like stressing me with these your questions that never happen?" Well, here's the thing, I can't help it. It's just how my mind wanders. And she's stuck with me for life, so she might as well just oblige me. Anyway, so I threw this scenario at her. Imagine you put 500,000 naira into a random stock and somehow it does a 200x overnight. Boom, you wake up, open your app, and you're looking at 100 million naira clean. What are you doing with it? And she looked at me and was like, ah, that one is easy. I'll just immediately put the entire money into land or real estate. Essentially, her summary was this: buy a house, never pay rent again, and then keep working her 9 to 5 while she plans her next upgrade. Classic, secure, solid. But then I decided to change the dynamics. I told her, so I'm assuming you're saying that because right now you make a good income, you have savings, and you're stable. What if we change the rules? Imagine you're at absolute ground zero, no job, no savings, nada. You just have this 100 million that dropped from heaven. How does that change things? And you know what she did? She split it right down the middle and said, okay, if that's the case, I'll take 50 million to buy the best house I can find so that my housing is sorted. Then I'll take the other 50 million, put it into a safe investment, giving me around 20% per annum, and I will live off the interest while I look for a job. She then threw the question back at me. Omo, for anyone that knows how I operate, I'm all about cash flow. So when she asked what I would do, I told her I am putting the entire 100 million into that safe investment. So let's do the math. 20% of a 100 million is 20 million naira a year. Break that down monthly, and that's roughly 1.67 million naira entering my account every single month like clockwork. I'll just take that 1.67 million and completely restructure my life from scratch. So today, let's put both options on the table and ask the question: does it make sense to do A or B? Which of these two approaches actually wins when you are starting from ground zero? Let's look at my wife's security first model. If she takes 50 million and buys a house, her rent drops to 0 naira. That is a massive psychological win. When you're at ground zero, the fear of a landlord breathing down your neck is real. Here's the catch: remember that she has no job. Out of the remaining 50 million invested at 20%, she's pulling in about 10 million a year. That's about 833K a month. Now, 833,000 naira a month is decent, but a house is a non living thing that behaves like a living thing. It needs maintenance. You start having things like estate dues, security levies, maybe the roof starts leaking, a pipe bursts, the walls need repainting, one thing or the other. Now, because she has no other income, that 50 million naira house actually becomes a cash drain on her 833K baseline. Now, let's look at my pure cash flow model. I don't buy a house, I rent. So let's say I rent a nice, comfortable place for 4 million naira a year. My 100 million investment is bringing in 20 million a year. So I pay my 4 million naira rent up front, and I'm still left with 16 million for the rest of the year. Now, divide that by 12 months, and I have about 1.33 million in disposable cash every single month. Now, let's compare the two. In year one, my wife has 833K a month to eat, buy fuel, and maintain a house. I have 1.33 million a month to live my life, probably start a business and scale up. So on paper, day to day, I feel way richer. I mean, cash is oxygen, and at ground zero, this model gives me a massive oxygen tank. But hold on, because this is where my model can seriously backfire. And it's why my wife's argument is so powerful long term. If I'm renting, what happens in year 2 or 3? My landlord wakes up in a bad mood and decides rent is now 5.5 million. Or if inflation hits and suddenly my cost of living goes up, but my 100 million principal is still sitting there, frozen, paying me the same fixed amount. In fact, with inflation, that 100 million is quietly buying less and less every year. Meanwhile, look at my wife's 50 million naira house. While I'm arguing with my landlord over rent hikes, her property value is quietly doing its own thing. In 3 to 5 years, that 50 million naira house in a developing area could easily be worth 100 or 120 million on the open market. So she didn't just save on rent, her assets grew while my cash lost purchasing power. So, how do we grade this? If you're at absolute ground zero, liquidity is king. It is important. You need the maximum amount of cash coming in to give you the leverage to build a career or a business without stress. In the short term, putting all the money into cash flow gives you the highest quality of life and the most options. Long term, if you have the discipline to deny yourself certain pleasures and keep your overhead as low as possible, the model could also work. However, if you do not take a portion of that heavy monthly cash flow and aggressively start buying assets like land later on, the economy will eventually catch up with you. Now, on the other hand, my wife's model protects you from the economy from day one. But my method gives you tools to conquer the economy, but only if you have the discipline. So I'm throwing it over to you guys in the comments. If 100 million naira hits your account today and you have absolutely nothing else to your name, are you team wife? That's buy a house first and then see what the rest of the money can do for you. Or are you team chigs? Maximum monthly cash flow straight from the beginning. Drop your thoughts below, hit that share button, and let me know which option actually makes sense to you.